MCoC has had a fair share of 5/5 defenders in recent months, and some of them are good for RPG design for defense, some are good for skill-based for defense, but today we're going to be looking at something completely different for 5/5 defenders, and that's how well they translate on attack. This game is not just about being an attacker or a defender, it's oftentimes about how good you are at being both. And today I want to look at these recent 5/5 and for 4.5 out of 5 defenders and see how well they do on attack and see how great they are at being two ways for that matter. So yeah, I'm going to look at every single 5/5 defender and 4.5 defender since Kindred, meaning they had to have been released in 2022 or later. I'm not going to go any further backwards because then we're going to find 5/5 defenders like Spot, which are clearly not actually 5/5 defenders anymore because when they were rated, the game was at a very different state now, and putting Spot on the same level as Serpent is completely unrealistic. So we're only going to be looking at Kindred and later, again, 4.5 because it's basically 5 and 5/5 defenders, and there happens to be exactly 10 of those if we start with Kindred. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the rankings with spot number 10. And spot number 10, the defender who started it all, we're going to put Kindred. And a lot of these early rankings are going to hurt a lot because I like a lot of these champions who are down at the bottom of the list. Kindred, who is at the very bottom, he's a champion who I used to play, not a lot, but when I did play him on attack, it felt good. He has some of the best buff control for modern day Cosmic champs because Atrophy is just gaining more value and more value over time with all these new defender releases we've had recently. Serpent, Dark Phoenix, Maestro, they all are kind of weak to Atrophy, and Kindred has a lot of that. Kindred's problem though is that out of like all of the 5/5 defenders in this ranking, he has the worst damage of all of them. And I mean, Enchantress is also on the list, but her damage is at least pretty good for long fights. Kindred's damage is just not good for anything, and it's not atrocious, it's not unplayable, but it's by far the worst, and it's by far his biggest weakness. If this guy had 30% more damage than he does currently, I actually think he'd be a pretty relevant attacker. Not even just pretty relevant, a very relevant attacker, but unfortunately he doesn't. So, spot 10. Spot number 9, and I talked about Enchantress earlier, she makes spot number 9, and this is yet another champion who I really enjoy using. Enchantress, this is a 6-star clip, but I have the 7-star rank 3, and I really enjoy playing her on attack for long fights. She's super fun once you start stacking those spells and getting control over your fight. She's really strong. She has some great damage, some great regen, so much control with sustainability and buff control like a regular Mystic would. And it's just really good for these long Necropolis level fights. The problem with Enchantress is that we just don't have Necropolis level content now that Necropolis is a year old and we haven't had any health pools that large since then. And Epic of Pain, she was actually good for some of the bosses, but not the big quest. She just doesn't work for the big quests very well. Just because of how it's designed, it's limiting her a little bit because you can only use a Mystic on 2 of the paths. One of them has power loss, which is really bad for her. And then the other one, she works for some fights there, but not enough to make her feel great in that quest. But I love Enchantress. She's still a strong attacker, one who does get undervalued sometimes, but she's still going to stay at spot number 9. And so spot number 8 is going to be Yelena Belova. Some of these champs I don't have clips of, and Yelena's the biggest example of that because obviously she's just released, and I don't have any star version of her other than a 3-star. And this one is definitely not safe. Like, she could go higher than 8, she could go lower than 8, she could stay at 8. I really don't know. This just felt like the safest spot to place her now based off of the abilities I've seen. So take this with a big grain of salt, because she might be a lot better on attack than I realized, than the rest of us realized, or she could be even worse than Enchantress and Kindred on attack. I really don't know what the future holds for Yelena, but right now I think I'm just going to leave her right here. And then we're going to move on to spot number 7, which is Maestro. This is a champ who I haven't really played personally, so I don't have gameplay of him. I have the 7-star, but I never ranked him because he doesn't interest me on attack a lot, so that's part of it. And he's a strong defender, but not one that I feel like my account needs to have. So, like, I just don't see a great spot for him on my account, but I've seen some really strong stuff from Maestro. He definitely deserves to be not in the very bottom of this list, because he's got 3 really good immunities. His damage is decent, especially for Alliance War with the old map. He was doing some cool stuff there. But generally, you're not using Maestro for much on attack at all, so I think number 7 is okay. Number 6, Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is kind of similar to Enchantress in how she's going to be very strong for long-form content, but I definitely think Dark Phoenix is overall going to be better damage-wise for all these sources of long-form content. She ramps up quicker than Enchantress does. She has a better source of damage than Enchantress does, even though Enchantress's source of damage is not that weak. She has some pretty good armor control. The Cosmic class is decent for long fights, but they're not the best. Serpent, Beta Ray Bill, Vox are kind of the big ones. Beta Ray Bill is by far the best of the 3 for long form content, I think, but I do think Phoenix is better. I mean, maybe not. She's not better than Bill, but she does things that Bill can't do when it comes to how their damage sources work. If Bill can't shock the opponent, he's just done, and no one's really immune to Nova Flames except for Iceman and Dark Phoenix herself. So I do think she's got some really strong damage for long fights. She's even decent for short fights. Like, she's a better short fight character than a lot of other champs on this list. Ones that we've seen already, but she's still going to be at number 6. She's still a strong champ, but the other 5 are better in my opinion. Number 5 is going to be Bullseye. This is another champ who I've enjoyed using thoroughly, and I always say that he has really, really strong utility that just not a lot of people realize yet. His kit is kind of stacked when it comes to utility. The only thing that's limiting him is damage. He counters miss at all times. He's a pretty good evade and auto block counter if you choose to use the SP1. He has anti-power sting mechanics from his Sig ability if you have yours awakened, and Purify if yours is awakened, which mine is awakened now. In this clip he wasn't, and I do have him at Sig 90, so he's doing some pretty good stuff with that Sig ability from my account, which is great. But yeah, Bullseye, he's got one of the strongest pieces of utility out of all of these, just with the amount that he has, I should say. And his damage is fine. Like, it's nothing great, but it's very consistent. That's another thing about Bullseye, is that there's not much in the game that can stop his kit, because he has no debuffs, he has no buffs. He just kind of hits the opponent and can play as non-aggressive as he needs to, so he's not AI reliant at all, not in the slightest. And he just kind of does his thing and eventually gets the defender down. It just might not be the fastest thing ever, which is why he's higher on the list than a lot of champs, because he's strong for sure, but he just doesn't have the damage for a lot of stuff. Similar to Serpent, and I know there's a massive amount of Serpent fans right now. I've never been a Serpent on attack fan. I do see the strength. The permanent true focus is super strong. His immunities are super strong. He was one of the best war attackers back on the old map. But I don't like him for Necropolis. I don't like him for long form content like a lot of people do. I don't see the strength that a lot of people do compared to other Cosmics in this class. He's still very, very good on attack, but I think putting him as one of the best Cosmics on attack is crazy, like genuinely to me. And yeah, I don't have gameplay for him because I've never liked using Serpent. I just really haven't used Serpent on this channel much. But I mean, I gotta put my bias aside, so I'm putting it at number 4, and that's my honest opinion. But number 3, this one is one I really want to talk about. This is Arnumzola. Arnumzola, I think, is one of the most underrated attackers in the entire game right now. This guy is an absolute chef in BG's attack, and that's something you probably didn't expect to hear, because most people only see Zola ever go on defense, which is fair because of how strong a defender he is. But if you can see some of these attacking fights that I have in this video, and more that I just haven't even shown YouTube yet, boy, he is really, really strong on attack sometimes. And you're just going to watch this Mr. Sinister melt, and then we're going to see an Enchantress next, and holy crap. This guy is so much better than he's given credit for, and I absolutely love him. So, Arnumzola being able to basically special lock the opponent's special 1 the entire fight is insane. There are so many defenders in this game where it's like, I want to push them to SP2, I want to push them to special 2, like Enchantress here. But their SP1 means I have to either anti-bait or hope they don't throw into the block, and it just really limits your playstyle a lot. But Zola doesn't care. He's going to get the opponent in the corner, special lock them for their special 1, and then they're just never going to be able to throw the special 1 the whole fight, as long as you are dropping your specials consistently enough. It's really good for Enchantress, Sinister, Arcade, Dust. I used him for Domino too. And there's plenty of other defenders where it's like, I don't want them to use an SP1, I want them to go to SP2. Well, Zola's got a really good way of doing that. And funny thing is, when you're fighting Enchantress with Zola, because of the fact she special locks her own special 2, she can't drop any specials until she gets to a special 3. So, we're just going to kill her before she gets to the special 3, right? And even if that special 2 didn't connect, those disintegrations are going to keep on rolling the opponent down. So, yeah, I mean, look, a lot of people don't have their hands on Zola yet, but he is the most common ranked champ in the most recent Titan batch, so still he deserves to be recognized, and there are a lot more people who have them than you might initially realize. But the number 2 are so obvious. You already know what number 1 and number 2 are. It's just the order at which they go in is going to be a little bit wacky, and as you can see here, I put Photon at number 2. I do think that Photon is arguably the best science champ in the game. I don't think I'd put her that high. I do think there are a couple science champs that I value higher than Photon. But she is absurdly powerful. Like, I mean, there's not even much I need to say to this. Her damage is really good. Her utility is crazy for a science champ. Like, the ability to counter, like, Conflictor and Masochism so well when a lot of science champs are vulnerable to that is really, really great. Her immunities are great. Like, there's not that many bleed immunes in the science class, and it's an immunity that's, like, really necessary oftentimes for them. She also has really great energy resistance and inequity, making her extremely tanky. And she's just such a good champ, man. The anti-stun with her untouchable is awesome. The fact that she can never miss, I can't believe I forgot to talk about that. That's super awesome. There's just so much going for Photon, and I don't even need to describe it all, because you already know it all. So, anyway, yeah, drop this special 2, and this Epic of Pain Prowler's gone. And who else is going to be number 1, right? You already know it's Onslaught. And I don't have gameplay for him because, like Serpent, I don't like playing Onslaught that much. So I just don't have a lot of YouTube content on him. I don't enjoy showing Onslaught because everyone knows what Onslaught does, and I just don't want to use him over a lot of other mutants that can help it. But he is the strongest mutant in the game. He might be the strongest champion in the game. His immunities is insane. And they're all resistances too, which is even better. His damage is completely insane. His ability to do the damage is incredibly insane, with this degen being something that most champs aren't able to counter. There's like not a single skill champ he's bad for. There's very few champs in the game Onslaught is bad for. He's good from every single game mode: Battlegrounds, Alliance War, Necropolis type content, Epic of Pain type content. He's good for everything. There's nothing in the game that Onslaught cannot handle, which is why he is at number 1. If we're ranking every single champion by how good they are on attack, if they are a 5 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5 defender. And I think he's the best champ in the game, so what can I say, right? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I might have said a few hot takes, especially with Zola and Serpent. And maybe Maestro too, but this is truly what I believe. I don't ever spread opinions that I do not believe in on this channel. So I do hope you respect that. And if you have a few hot takes, if you think I said some hot takes, do go ahead and write it in the comment section below. So anyway, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.